Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. It's time for the podcast. I just want to say, hey, he's for horses, and hey's not for bedtime. But I thought I had one more thing down there. So keep it out of bed. And one way to do that, keep the hay on the farm, horses, or in the barn. And I'll keep the lulls coming to the bedroom, the hay-free bedrooms. Can I possibly say, even pronounce words? I don't know. You know why? Because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And here's a couple ways that we keep the show going. When your hand hits the fridge tomorrow, remember to check out our sponsors at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. Hey, as you're getting comfortable, I hope that's what Sleep With Me does for you. It keeps you company, or it makes bedtime a little easier. That the show is there for you if you're sleepless in the deep, dark night. That's why I make the show, because I know how it feels. I know that it's not easy. And a lot of hard work goes into the show. That's how I keep it going and keep it out on a regular basis. And it's your direct support that enables that empowers it to be there free for you and thousands of other people. So if you're in a position to do so and to support the show on a regular basis, I'd love it if you became a patron and you consider exchanging $10 or $20 or $5 a month for the comfort and support Sleep With Me provides you at night. And you could do that over at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, just like Belle did. And Belle said, I've always struggled with irregular sleep habits. And as I got into bed tonight and I hit that little play button, I almost cried with relief that tonight I wouldn't be alone. I got to the end of the first story that night and I realized I have a coping strategy, a support person, and that as I lie awake tonight, I won't have my own thoughts and fears for company. Also knowing when I get done here that I can listen to another story and maybe even giggle quietly to myself gives me hope. Thank you. I also know that hearing the words, Dearest Scooter, creates a warm, happy, smiling feeling in my heart, and I hope you can feel that as I send it to you. Well, thank you so much, Belle, and I'm sending it back to you right now and everyone else out there. If you can identify with Belle, think about it. Become a patron at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. The Sleepy Supporter Zone time. I wanted to thank all the patrons, actually, who were on the live stream, who commented on my beautiful new blush pink away luggage. If you want to see me, I'm going to be headed to Nashville soon, rolling with my new luggage. Let me know, show me your luggage, or for $20 off a suitcase, go to awaytravel.com/sleep and use a promo code SLEEP at checkout. But you got to see me with this blush pink carry-on, battery, everything. Thanks. Hey, everybody, don't forget to check out my upcoming live performances, either locally in the Bay Area in Alameda, California, or at PodX coming up here. You can find everything else you need, the discounted tickets to PodX or tickets to our local show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/live show. And if you're anywhere near Nashville, May 31st to June 2nd, come to PodX and see me. Thanks. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people work very hard on this show. Am I correct?
Chris Posty Poster Song sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. Could be for Mother's Day. It's coming up soon. Or Father's Day is coming up too. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support, dear Scooter, on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance to be part of Nine Veil Presents. So now on with the show.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the show. automatically get the podcast delivered right to you for free in whatever app you use. Just click subscribe. And what do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, whatever's keeping you awake, travel, any of those things. I'm going to be here to take your mind off of stuff, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, extra mumbles or accidental mumbles. I'm going to tumble. Actually, I think I've talked about it. I'm going to stumble over words and I'm going to tumble over them. The word tumbler. I think that could be multiple things. What do you call it when a kid puts Scrabble tiles in a rock tumbler? Well, I'd call it I would rename the rock tumbler the word tumbler. Well, no, why not the letter tumbler? What do you call it when you put boggle letters in a podcast piece of artwork? You call it the illusionist. If you put them in a rock tumbler, though? I don't know. Okay, here's a question. What would be more soothing? The sound of tumbling rocks in a rock tumbler, which doesn't have much sound from what I can recall. The sound of Scrabble tiles in a rock tumbler. That sounds like that sounds like a middle of a middling poem. Your sweet voice is like the sounds of Scrabble tiles in a rock tumbler. He said to her over coffee. I guess it would be dialogue in one of my screenplays. And then he stood and turned, his hips leading the way. The hips, he realized as he walked off, he'd never felt in 40 years. Today was the day. That's a little bit of the boy who discovered his hips. Coming soon to a theater in my imagination. But also, what is like? Okay, let me get to the new listeners first, then we could contemplate these things. So we'll come back to all this. But so if you're new, hey, welcome to Sleep With Me. It's a podcast to put you to sleep. It's a little bit different. You probably already noticed that. So let me give you a couple of things to know. I'm glad you're here, and I hope I can help you or be here as you fall asleep, keep you company. So the show, if you like, you try to, it's almost better to kind of almost passively consume it. It's just like having rock tumbling as a hobby. You'd say, what is this, Scoots, what are the Venn diagrams of Sleep With Me's, psychographics and demographics? Tell me more about it. Well, you'd say, well, most of the listeners are good people, wonderful people, if you ask me. Even the new listeners are great, very conscientious people, or whatever that word is, kind, intelligent. All those listeners are intelligent, looking for a good night's sleep, likely to support causes and support building the community they want to see. That's Sleep With Me's demographics and psychographics. People that do nice stuff, pick up after themselves. Those are all. And also, majority of listeners owned a rock tumbler at one point in their lives. So that's about it. That's our demographics. So if you're a new listener, they tend to go off topic. Structurally, what to expect with the podcast. It starts off with a few minutes of business. That's key to keeping it free for everybody. And then there's an intro. We're about like 5 minutes into the intro. And the intro is where I try to explain what the podcast is, but then something always pops up in my mind. like rock tumblers, which make an appearance like every 200 or so episodes. And then sometimes they'll make, then then I'll have rock tumbler on the brain. What's the most common item? What's the 50th most common item to see at a garage sale? Rock tumbler. Factoids, made up factoids, live. Fun facts, as Janet would say. Fun fact, rock tumbler is actually a rock roller, technically. Commonly referred to as rock barrels within the community that lives in Scooter's imagination. Oh, so new listeners. So there's an intro where I try to explain what the podcast is for about 15 minutes. And some people, when they first get to the podcast, will be like, is he ever going to get to the point? Well, I'll try, and I won't quite achieve that. That's what the intro kind of is. So when's the Game of Thrones talk going to start? Well, I just mentioned it, but later in about 12, 14 minutes, we'll shift from the intro to the Game of Thrones discussion. If you don't watch Game of Thrones, don't worry about it. This will mildly resemble Game of Thrones. Won't even talk about, any like stuff like, oh, what am I going to do now? Kind of stuff like, what am I going to watch next? Don't worry. Well, it'll be totally devoid of, I got to get back to talking about rock tumbling. So I don't think about that Game of Thrones so we'll talk about that. The intro is like a lot of listeners use it as part of their wind down because you say, why do you try to explain the podcast for 12 to 15 minutes? And I'd say, well, where else in the great podcast community, other than those wonderful rock-specific rock tumbling podcasts, like Rock Tumbling Today, Rock Tumbling, Don't Come Knocking If This Rock Tumbler's a Rockin'. Those are some of my favorites. Binge Mode, Rock Tumbler Edition. Cast of rock tumblers, bald move, talking tumblers. That's one of, like, they also talk about drink tumblers. So that's like a broader. So those are some of the rock tumbling podcasts. What was I talking? I was trying to explain Sleep With Me. Where else am I going to get those plugs in? Tumble To Me. That was a good one. It's not around anymore. Talk Tumble To Me. That was a couple. This was one of the ones I can't believe it didn't make it big time. It was a couple. One rock tumbler enthusiast. One person not interested in rock tumbling, and they worked with then there was a third party professional, and they learned, they like went out through the lens of rock tumbling. Their relationship flourished. And they learned to love. This is back to that screenplay. And the boy became a man with hips. And those hips kept walking. So where was it? So that's the intro. And then I'll be talking Game of Thrones. Then we'll talk about any factoids that came up during Game of Thrones or lists or anything like that. Tom and Pounce will make an appearance. Then the prayers to the old gods and the new. So we'll be here for at least like an hour and a half plus. And the whole thing is, if you're new, that gives you plenty of time to fall asleep, right? You say, okay, well, you're easing me into bed for 15 minutes, getting me comfortable. And it'd say, right, like the rumbling, like a great rock tumbler in the sky. That's what I used to say. That was one of my great belief systems my imaginary friend taught me. When I'd say, Mama, Papa, what about all that thunder? It's the gods bowling or whatever. Now, Bill, my imaginary friend, would say, shh, get over here, kid. They ain't bowling up there. They're rock tumbling. And now also Bill was Bill was also worked for a rock tumbling company. Because they said, Bill, what's rock tumbling? That's how I used to talk as a kid. And Bill said, it's the hottest new craze. Only the kids, you've heard rock and roll, right? Kind of, Bill. This is rocks actually rolling in a barrel. And you know how, hey, kid, have you ever noticed how boring rocks are? Well, some are cool. Like the whole Game of Thrones is season hinged on rocks, technically. Hey, kid, I'm here. Just say, sure. Oh, yeah, they're so boring. Like as boring as a sleep podcast. Well, actually, Bill, that would make up, it would be, I guess it's a paradox, but the interestingness of rocks could help people fall asleep. So I think I think you're devaluing the paradoxical nature of that relationship. Oh, sorry. Yeah, totally, man. Rocks are the dullest. One thing about rocks is, Bill, that I noticed they're just not shiny. That's right, kid. Have you ever wondered if there's a prolonged process, agonizingly slow, like an agon, agonizingly slow, kid, where you could learn about the power of sand and sanding, and then one day, eventually, where you learn grit through grit, kid. That's what real rock tumblers do. I just thought of that. I got to rework my pitch. Learning grit through grit, rock tumbling. Well, could you use true grit, or is that probably trademarked? Probably trademarked, kid. But that's a good one. True grit, through grit, rock tumbling. I think I liked your first one better, but eventually the rocks are shiny and polished. So that was my point. True grit, through grit. I think Bill, that's your thing. Rock tumbling. Yeah, Bill, would you like to buy a rock tumbler? I have the newest edition, the Sonic Rock Roller. It's a Rebel edition. It's actually not even for sale, Bill, anywhere. But I could get you, really. Yeah, I could put you in a rock tumbler today. Please don't. Well, maybe that would polish up my pitches. Bill, this is really turning into a long intro, but have you ever thought about a podcast with just items in a rock tumbler to put people to sleep? Never thought of it. We could call it True Grit Through Grit. And maybe I'll actually do this. What items would you put in a rock tumbler to relax people? Well, I'm most interested in word tumbling because I thought that would be a good metaphor for the podcast. Turns out it's letter tumbling. Whether you use boggle, cubes, or things. What about 20-sided die? Oof, Bill, you're reading. Maybe would you like to go into the sleep podcast, experimental sleep, art-based experimental sleep podcast business? I think I would. All right, True Grit Through Grit. That's Bill and I's future podcast. Anyway, I'm here to take your mind off stuff. If you're new, went off the rails, and I'm just trying, you don't be careful of rock tumblers that go off the rails because they're barrel-like shaped. So anyway, this is a podcast to take your mind off stuff and keep you company as you fall asleep. You don't have to listen, and there's no pressure to fall asleep. And be here over an hour and a half tonight to keep you company as you drift off. Fall asleep at your leisure. And see how it goes. And now most people, 99% of people that are regular listeners to the podcast, which is a couple 100,000 people, like they say, so a couple 100,000 people have actually told me. It took 2 or 3 times before I realized this podcast was, it was like whatever just happened for the past 12 minutes. And then I realized I could fall asleep and it works great. So if you're new, give it a few tries. I really hope it can help. If it doesn't, check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you for other options. But I do want to help. I've been there. That's the thing. And I strive and I yearn. I work very hard on the show because I'd like to keep you company and help you fall asleep. Thanks for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, I was wondering if I could ask you to do something a little bit rebellious, and that would be working Sleep With Me into your regular monthly budget, being a rebel with a cause, and doing something crazy and paying for a free podcast so it can be there for you and thousands of other people on a regular basis. Our patrons are the people that are wild enough to say, hey, it takes a lot of hard work to make that show. And I'm willing to exchange 10 or 5 or $20 a month for the comfort and sleep it provides me. So if you count on Sleep With Me in the deep dark night on a regular basis, I almost dare you to become a patron over at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Aaron just supported the show and said, I always listen to this podcast in the background while I'm studying. It's a serious lifesaver. You know, if I put on a TV show, I pay too much attention. If I play music, I sing along and get distracted. But if I listen to Scooter, Scooter's not talking about, I get bored very quickly and I can get back into my work. And that's not even mentioning how quickly it puts me to sleep. It's really a no-brainer to support you in any way that I can. Thank you, Scooter. We truly appreciate all that you do. Well, thank you, Aaron, for making the choice, ultimate rebellious choice to pay for a free podcast and sacrifice, pizza or a couple of cups of coffee or a lunch out a month. And you could do so, too, at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. We're talking about season 8, season 8, episode 7, right? I don't have my episodes mixed up. Episode 6? That can't be. I thought there was, I'm not even kidding. I must be mixed up. No, I guess there was only 6 episodes. I guess, as you can see, I'm a bit confused. But I thought it was called The Last Watch, but that ends up that's going to be the documentary about the making of documentary. I don't know if it's a making of this season or of all the seasons, but this one's called The Iron Throne. And it really did like that. And believe it or not, I did get to see the continuation of the movie. The movie I was talking about last week got made into, there was a sequel to that movie. And again, it was very similar to this episode. So I'm going to kind of run through mostly that movie because it's a little bit easier to talk about. And it was very shot for shot. Again, I don't know if how they, this movie, it was animated, Miyazaki style, but it was an Italian kind of avant-garde, it's a bit surrealistic. And so set it up. It was very similar to last episode of Game of Thrones, but a little bit different. So this was the sequel. Last week we talked about the sequel to the movie Flowers in the Attic, which I didn't realize had a reboot in the last few years, or a remake. I was talking about the 80s or 90s version. And this movie was kind of a sequel to that, but not direct sequel, or influenced, because it was an animated avant-garde movie. And it also was a combination of the movie Flowers in the Attic, a little bit of Through the Wardrobe, and then a little bit of a Khaleesi type story. I don't know. None of it was in English. So again, I'm going to be going off my notes from both the last episode of Game of Thrones and this movie, which were very similar. And they'll probably be confused and meandered together. So it starts off with last time on Game of Thrones. It's all from the last episode. It seems as we're going through the opening here, right now I'm watching it, it's heading towards King's Landing. And it does look similar to Winterfell. There are some changes, not total changes to King's Landing. Oh, we're still in Winterfell still. And again, I don't know if these are projections or actual changes to the opening title. Let's see. So going into Winterfell. Oh, yeah, it looks like there's not a lot of buildings in Winterfell. Gate doesn't work. Oh, yeah, a lot of it is, it's definitely, okay. This is, so yeah, there's a lot of missing pieces in Winterfell. Missing Legos are not in Winterfell, in King's Landing. And the Iron Throne's still there, but, well, we get too far ahead of us. And both the movie, which I don't even know what it was called. I was calling it Flowers in the Attic 3. So they had the character I was labeling as Tyrion. He was one of the, in the sequel, there was 3 kids, Jaime, Cersei, and Tyrion, who were the grown adult children from Flowers in the Attic. And so on last time, I don't know. It's too complicated to explain. But Tyrion in the animated movie, but also in the show, is trudging through, and he looks up left, he looks up right, he's trudging. And in the movie, because he's going through the great garden that was outside of the mansion where the kids were in the attic, the garden that protected the mansion, but also created the flowers that were in the attic. If there were any, I don't know if there. I think that was more of a metaphor. But if there ever were going to be flowers in the attic, they would have been from there. And Tyrion is kind of taking all of this in. So he says, okay, this is complicated for me because this garden, I didn't want to be raised as one of the flowers in the attic, but this garden was supposed to be mine. That's different than Game of Thrones because I don't think King's Landing was necessarily supposed to be Tyrion's. But, he was a lover of gardens. I mean, because not only is a garden, like everything is mowed. Shrubs, shrubbery, flowers, weeds. Everything was mowed as he trudges through there. He kind of sees that. He even sees, because this is an animated movie with a little bit of fantasia, there's even a couple stems just walking around without any green or flowers on them. Bear plants walking. Then we see John in Backlage do a double take. Oh, John's in the background doing a double take. Side shot. Oh, I liked the side shot in both the episode and movie. So again, I don't know how this happened, but it's like through buildings or in the GOT, but when it's through rows of former hedges that have been defoliated. We see Tyrion, John, and the Onion Knight walking. There's lots of I'd call it dandelion dust. I don't know what you call it. I don't know if anybody saw that in Los Angeles, that where you make a wish, you blow the dandelions, this art installation. It looked amazing. But I think Tyrion says something to John like, see you later. John says, you can't go there solo. He goes, yeah, bro, I'm going solo. John has a stoic look on his face. And I didn't see this till the second reviewing, but Tyrion, there's a walking shot with Tyrion and the bell from the bell towers. What do you call it? The movie, it was a little, like a ton of little bells, reindeer bells in this case, because in the movie, what they did was instead of a castle, they had all these pricker bushes or blackberry bushes, and where you could climb through, there was bells, so you could ring the bells and say, hey, you could crawl through the pricker bushes without getting prickered here. But Danny just mowed all of the pricker bushes. So there's a Tyrion walking shot with the bell. Red Keep, up, Lannisters. Oh, so he goes up into the Red Keep, and then I guess he goes down. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Lannisters, there's these Lannister plants that somehow made it through all the mowing, and they were considered this very rare plant, and they're potted, and someone found them, and Grey Worm says, we're going to get rid of these plants, and they consider them a weed. And John and Onion Knight are like, what are you doing? Those are potted plants. You're just why would you, what do you call that? Total prunage, though, of a potted plant. You put it on the curb and somebody will take it. Put it on Craigslist free. Again, this was all in Italian, so I was just trying to, project my own dialogue on here. And Grey Worm considers it a weed. Trim all the weeds, he says. Trim all the plants. Him and John are kind of debating this in the regular episode. Then we have John like puts his hand on Grey Worm. Grey Worm puts his hand on John. They have a stare down. And Onion Knight, he says, we'll just talk to the Garden Queen. I mean, not me. I mean, talk about foreshadowing. He says, it's the royal we. And he goes, John, you're royal. I ain't royal. So John and Grey Worm have this long stare. Then we see Tyrion going up, or he's in the map room. So again, we get this call back to this beautiful, it's actually not a room, it's a map plaza. I've been calling it a map room, but it's a map plaza. It might be a piazza. I don't know what a piazza is, but I don't even know what a portico is, or, that, I know what that word looks like. I don't even know how to say it or spell it. Then there's like the small council room. I don't know if that's what it's called, where everybody meets that advises the queen or the king. And Tyrion's in there looking around. Oh yeah, but what were they called? Then he picks up a torch. He goes down all the way down to the sub basements of the Red Keep. He looks around. He puts down his what do you call it? His torch. He has to climb into another room. I think more darker room. Puts it down. It looks like I said more drunken or dankin. Rams, but it's more darker room. He sees Jamie's brass ring in the movie, but a brass hand in this. And eventually see Cersei. They're having a big sleep. I guess there's no way, they've gone, they're big farm residents now. So Tyrion's, forlorn would be an understatement. He says goodbye to them, especially Jamie. And this does particularly align with his strong feelings for his brother, saying, you're the one who really stood up for me. And I don't know if this is quite a counterpoint to the last, the Game of Thrones episode, but also the movie of Jamie. Well, I thought I had something and then I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know, Tyrion's shedding of emotion here. It does seem to be a counterpoint to Hound's feelings of absurdists or pointlessness or whatever. That kind of was a little bit more prevalent in last episode, where you say, oh, is this nihilism? Is Tyrion a nihilist? Yeah, you think we start to see here, he's like, no. I greatly loved my brother and my sister. Oh yeah, because he says, this is a little bit of a tragic. It's not absurdist. It has this. I don't know if you know what I mean or not. Then we see Arya walking. She's kind of watching and walking, taking it in too. And she sees all the gardeners, or I don't think you can call them gardeners in truth, that the Garden Queen hired. They're kind of whatever you call that, what do they call it? Demo, garden demo teams, where you see, we don't garden, we remove, Trump, what do they call those? Trunk remover. I don't know if anybody has one of those businesses where you see, we get rid of tree trunks. You could call yourselves trunk busters. Just give me 30 G's for that. Who are you going to call? I guess you couldn't do a TV ad because that wouldn't be a good investment, but it would be funny. You could do something on YouTube. Probably, I guess the company that owns Ghostbusters wouldn't be happy. So just stick to trunks. We bust them. And you could say we bust. Sometimes we'd pull them out. Sometimes we bust them up. Yeah, but Danny does have some trunk busters on her team. Let's see. Arya watches Jon Snow kind of going through all of the garden demo team, gardeners. He's kind of pushing his way through. And there's big bassy music here as he does a long walk. Arya kind of walks off to the side, paralleling him, questioning, off to the side, questioning. There's lots of dandelions, Yeah, there's a real big buildup. We're at the top of the Red Keep. John's working his way up. To say John's posture is, stooped would be an understatement. So she's off to the side, questioning maybe, I don't know. Grey Worm has a, does that say frowny face? Against then Drogon, who was the great goose who carried the lawnmower that trimmed most of this great garden. John gets to the top of the stairs. And also Danny has that, like, on Instagram where everybody has a picture of them standing in front of wings, goose wings. They do that in a really cool way. Yeah, but I guess they say, well, I've seen that normally I don't scoff at things, but I say I've seen that 1,000 times on Instagram and I'm barely on there. But that was kind of cool. Seeing it again. And I thought, like, some of the acting and some of the animating in the movie of Danny's face or expressions here is really a big-time game. But she makes a big speech. First, she does lots of nose breathing. She's very happy that her kind of predictions were filled. She said, remember a long time ago, I promised you we were going to trim these gardens. She goes to the iron watering stone planters, iron planters. We got them out. We mowed it on. Everybody cheers. We mowed this garden down. And sometimes she goes, haven't you ever heard of people haven't heard of that? Like, folding it back in is a good call of the goose. Everybody's cheering. John has his barf face where he says, I think I'm going to barf. Grey Worm, she goes, Grey Worm, great job keeping me safe and being at my side during, that I didn't get any, making sure I had good garden gloves so my thumbs didn't get pricked. Keep up the good work. Grey Worm's always been one of my favorites. But she says, for real, you're my master of war now. So, and he actually has this really nice smile. There's a lot of thumping of rakes and hoes and what do you call those things? Shovels. She says, good. And then we have a Tyrion slow walking from behind. And he looks at John. Snow from backyard. We have more to weed, yo. From Winterfell to Dorne. We're going to mow everything down. We won't lay down our gardening tools till we've liberated the entire world of weeds. If we have to take it all down, that's her point. It's like, if you've ever done this, that the weeds just grow back faster than anything else. But, Danny hasn't done it. And actually, she makes a lot better point. But she's got this fierce face, and I don't know, I really thought she did a good job going from these different emotions here. And the whole time the goose is, cooking. Let's see, snow. I don't know if that says snow for backyard. We have more to weed. Lannisport to something. Karth to the Jade Sea. We're going to break the wheel. And I think this is where it was good that there's two movies, because you realize that now Danny's gone full circle to the grandmother in the movie Flowers in the Attic 1. Like somehow, how these things, like she just carried all the way around. She wants to put everybody in an attic without any gardens. And just like in the first movie, she believes that's what's best. She's going to treat everybody like a child. And she's going to say, you're my flowers. I have to keep you in the attic where it's good, where there's no weeds, and get rid of until all the world is weed free, even if that means plant free. Arya has an iron look at one point on her face. When Khaleesi says cheers, she does some mouth breathing, some nose breathing. She can really feel her victory. Meanwhile, John's frozen. Tyrion comes in. He quits. He says, you know what? I lived in that attic. I'm not going back to it. She also busts him. So it's kind of like one of those things where she says, you're busted for letting your brother out of the tent. And he goes, well, I quit anyway. And he tosses his button down the stairs, tosses some Sharon. When he does that, the rakes, they stop thumping on his quitting. Tosses some shine. I don't know. He tosses his thing that says that he worked for her. I mean, which is just an interesting journey for him. I mean, not in the show, but he was one of the kids in the attic. Now he's been working for someone who wants to return everybody and also mow everything down. So, it's a rough journey. She says, you're going to your room in your attic anyway now. Oh, man, I didn't see this. I mean, I didn't write this look down, but at 22 exactly, 21, it starts, Khaleesi and John have a stare down. And she kind of glares at him. John has a pensive look. She kind of is like, she kind of gives him a look like he smells bad, but metaphorically. John's frozen. Tyrion quits after he gets busted. Oh, I guess I'm a little bit out of order here. No more rake thumping. Go to your room. John pensive. Grove clay, question mark. As they walk off. Oh, grovelly? Is that what that says? Grouchy. Oh, grouchy. Oh, I said, is John pensive or grouchy? Then Ari just pops up behind John. John still doesn't quite get it. He goes, what? And he touches Ari's head. And she says, your queen's, and he goes, she's everybody's queen now. And he goes, why don't you wait for me outside the castle? She goes, John, you don't get it. He goes, why were you here? She goes, Cersei, take out, but I didn't get to do it. She goes, I didn't come through this wardrobe. She goes, we came here, whenever Bran or the other kid met that dude at the lamppost, and now we had our adventures, and then some dude rewrote us via the Bruce Bolton fan fiction machine. And so he says, wait for me outside. She goes, oh, this is what she goes, dude. And she says, you need to pull it together, dude. And so John actually gets it. So I guess it was like a more powerful scene than we realized, because then he goes to talk to Tyrion, who's like, you don't got any wine? Then I'm gonna have to do some more. He goes, dude, I'm boring. Did you forget who I am? I'm Jon Snow. And they go, let's talk for a little while, which this was tough. So I had to make most of this up because since it was in Italian. But he goes, see, I told you so. I told you something would say. And he goes, you know what it's like? I don't know. He goes, let me see what they say because I'm watching it now. Oh, he goes, what was the big farm like? He goes, Bolivian, man. He goes, nothing. And he goes, okay, I could live with that. He goes, that could be good. But they say, geez, we guess we messed up. But John says, I'd do it again. Is that true? Oh, no, Tyrion says, I'd do it again. Now that I'm busted, should have done it earlier. I chose my fate. Plants, the flowers, and the weeds did not. John's kind of disillusioned. He goes, I can't justify things, but I think it's going to be okay. And Tyrion goes, I'm sorry, what? He goes, I've lived in the attic before. You haven't lived in the attic. He goes, I've seen it. She wants everybody in the attic, dude. And John gives him the old, if you're not perfect, you can't criticize Tyrion. Because Tyrion says, I've heard about it. I've seen it. This isn't the first time she put people in the attic. It was just the first time she trimmed all the flowers in the garden and everything else, the hedges, the shrubs, the shrubbery. He goes, perennials and annuals even. Varys was right. But yeah, John says, if you can't be perfect, you can't criticize. Don't judge her by the plants she cuts. What does this mean? You couldn't do it, bro. I don't know what that means. And then I think this was just in the movie. They're calling this thing Plan the secret patriarchal plan, but I'm not positive. This may have been my imagination. Oh, here's John. He's still saying, dude, what are you talking about? Because other stuff happened. That's why she had to mow the lawn. And then the shrubs, followed naturally after. Then the flowers, it just was like in a row. Oh, that's what he goes. You would never do that. He goes, wouldn't you have stopped with the weeding or the lawn mowing at least? John goes, yeah, I don't know. Tyrion goes, come on, man. Something for plants. Excrete it for plants. I don't think that's it. Oh, he goes, something plant patriarchy for the plants. They say, yeah, we got to get old dudes in charge again. He goes, she's a stepmother now, just like my stepmother. She's become the same thing. And he goes, because he goes, you should be in charge. He goes, no, have you ever seen a Disney movie with an evil stepfather? Just stepmothers like mine. So again, I think Tyrion maybe, I guess this one, and he's pretty much in the right. Something between you and paradise. I don't know what that one was. John has to sit down at some point because his mind is blown. And then he goes, yeah, by the way, we both love your aunt. I go, so let's just leave it at that. Oh, there's a little comic line, you better than me or something. But now she wants to be a stepmother, aunt, stepmother. And then they kind of say, love is end of duty. And that was foreshadowing City. And he goes, duty's the death of love. And then I wrote, duty is the Dr. Olo. Duty, the death of love. Duty is oh, maybe I just wrote it twice. He goes, you are a shroud of that. You're the shield that guards the realms of plants, man. He goes, who wants everything in the attic? And John says, she's the queen. And then Tyrion uses the successful argument he always uses, which is true. He goes, what about your sisters, your family? Then John goes on a long walk. This was a cute scene. The goose is hiding in a bed of dandelion drift or whatever you call that stuff. Dandelion fur, dandelion snow. And it just pops up. It sniffs John. And I said, Grey Worm, are you around anywhere? John doesn't say that, but I thought he kind of thought that. And John walks up into the top floor, like where the attic is, where you can oversee everything. And that's where the throne is, in the movie. I don't know if the stepmother had a comforting chair, the grandmother, but we'll just say it's the Iron Throne. I mean, she was like the Iron Grandmother. It looks good, comfy. Danny's looking at it. Looks good, comfy. She's amazed. She's kind of in awe that she's it's like the physical embodiment of what she's been wanting. She reaches out and touches it. It's 35:11. Let's see what this is. 35:11. I'm a few minutes behind now. Let's see here. We got a lot more talking. John walking. There's the goose hiding. Goose sniffing John. Goose goes back to sleep. 33:50. Danny comes out. She looks at the throne from afar. Gets up close. She's still walking closer at 33, 34:50. Okay, it's 35. She's walking up the stairs to the throne. I think this is where she just touches it. 35:15. We should be there. Oh, she just gets this look of awe. Eyes wide. Wow. And she's kind of drinking it in. And now she looks down, she reaches out, she touches it. It's got snow on it or dandelion dust. And shot to the side in the throne, John in the doorway. Yeah, I really like this. There's a couple side shots of her and then over the shoulder of the throne looking at Danny. And then she turns and John's in the doorway. She takes a big breath. And this one really, the first time I watched it, faked me out. It kind of blew my mind. Because she takes this big breath and he walks in. So again, I'm kind of dense. The first time this happened, I was probably one of the last people that realized what was happening. Yeah, but I guess it could have been disillusionment. He walks in. She tells this great story, a sweet story full of joy. A thousand, thousand swords, a thousand, what do you call those things, rakes. And Jen interrupts her. She's having this like joyful moment. He goes, "What the heck? They're still cutting potted plants down." And I go, "Uh-oh." And he goes, "Let's bring this moment down." She goes, "Excuse you." She goes, "Pull it together." She goes, "Everything." She goes, "Weeds, thorns, they do things." And then he goes, "Tyrion, man." And then she has to say, dude. She goes, she goes, he goes, "Please forgive him. Please." And then again, this really, I was so drawn into this moment. In the Game of Thrones and the movie, in the movie, "I'm just a little puppy dog." And she goes, "We can't hide behind tender mercies." In the show, she said small mercies, though. She goes, "This is a new world that's never been created before. It's not easy to see." And it really just saw like the way John's arc had been going this season. This is really what was happening. So Jon Snow, like Kit Harington acting as Jon Snow acting, which has happened in The Good Place a few times, has fooled me. So Kit Harington's acting as Jon Snow acting played me. Because he goes, "Please show me what it's like. How do I know it'll be good?" And I think it was, Emilia Clarke's acting too, to cause she believed it. She goes, "Oh yeah, she goes, "Come here. Let me pat you on the back here." And then she says, "But we do have to be strict. They do have to be in the attic. Everybody." And she goes, she goes, "Don't worry, little puppy dog. I'll keep you safe. I'll show you what the new world is." And she goes, "Let's break that wheel together. Now and always." And then there's this big music. And so that really helped with my fake out. And they said, "Wait a second, is this really what's happening?" I said, I guess Arya's going to have to clean this one up too. In the show, in the movie, because I didn't totally understand what was happening. I kind of was like, guess these two really are in love. And then they give a big kiss, and John says, he like, just like in the other ones, uses a little pricker on her fingertip. He says, "Every rose has a thorn, Danny." This is in the movie. And, he learns, that, she says, "I can't believe you pricked me with the rose." And because it was an animated movie, she just dissipates. She becomes I don't know. I guess it was he did go through a wardrobe. She was from a third world, she was trying to become the grandmother from Flowers in the Attic. I guess what we learned is she's from the plant realm in the movie, because she just turns into plant, to dandelion dust. And John's kind of beside himself. And then the goose comes, the goose comes in, or Drogon in the show. And this is, again, was like a really, I think a achievement in animation, for sure. Because the goose comes and says, the goose tries to gather all of the dandelion dust of Danny and reformulates it into a ball and rolls the ball around until it's more solid. Like the goose knows what happened. And then the goose, gets rid of the attic. It kisses everything in the attic except for John. But it kisses everything else in the attic. And then it's like, okay, well, it gets rid of all the grandmother's chair, all anything that their grandmother would use. And in the show, it gets rid of the Iron Throne. Drogon does. First, it makes a bunch of goose noises, flaps its wings, understandably very displeased, but not totally is displeased. I would have thought the goose would have kissed John at least. And in some sense, it did because of then after that happens. Then the goose flies away with the dandelion dust ball, under its wing, and it flies up and away, laying eyes out, laying in a flower with that, laying on a bed. Oh no, this is about Tyrion. Okay, so then the next thing we see is Tyrion lying on the floor, his eyes open, with that oh no, laying on a bed look. And then he says, oh dear, there's footsteps coming. And it's Grey Worm. Tyrion has a big beard. So you say, geez, how long have you been there, man? He had a Houston Rockets, a Harden level beard going. And Grey Worm has a sad face. So they go, let's go to the, what do they call that? The amphitheater, the Pitts Amphitheater on the edge of the property. Big Quirpum Yara. Big Quirpum Yara. Oh, I have to figure out what that says. Yeah, but they head to the Pitts, the amphitheater, Pitts Amphitheater. That was who donated the amphitheater, I think. And, there's a big tent. So there's a whole tent set up for some sort of, proper function, which we soon learn is an electric. At first I said, what is it? This really threw me off. And it's a nice day. No more, sun's out. Looks like it's a late afternoon. Trying to think of what I said, though. Okay, let's see. The camera pans and we start to see. I said, who, what, the what, the what? The first time I did do that. And okay, it was Sam. I already forgot that. Then some dude, then the Blackfish's kid. I already forgot his name, even though I knew it earlier. Arya, Bran, Sansa, Brienne, the Onion Knight, Podrick, or not Podrick, the other dude, whoever he's of Storm's End now. Well, I can't remember his name. Then some dude that looks exactly like Richard Madden. A couple people I kind of recognized, but didn't, it wasn't positive. Somebody in the official Dornish outfit of chilling. Let's see what else I have notes. He too we want, Sansa. Not cool. I don't know what that says. He too we want. I guess Arya, Ben, Bran, Sansa, Brienne, Onion, Podrick. But it's not Podrick, it's somebody else. It's, the Smith, two other dudes, one who looks like Richard Madden and someone else. Someone I kind of recognize, the dude from Dorne. Oh, she goes, where's John? And he goes, he's not coming or something. That's what Grey Worm says. He goes, oh, not cool. Yara says, I'm cool with anything Daenerys did. The dude from Dorne, he's totally chilled in his chair. Arya tells Yara to shut it. And Onion says, please, please, please. Because they say John's busted, man. He pricked the Garden Queen with a bricker. So Yara and Arya have a good stare down. The weird thing was, what's this? He's not Podrick. Who's he? What's that guy's name? I mean, I would, like, just did 6 to 7 episodes about this. Anyway, Gendry, that's his name. Thank you, Brain. How come Gendry's not sneaking looks at Arya this whole time? Like, hey, sure you don't like me? You're but anyway, Onion Knight kind of says he does some one last round of truth telling. So let's see, actually, because he just finished doing his truth telling. He actually does the thanking and truth telling. He uses Grey Worm's proper name. Let's see. Let's see here. He's stands up. He's got his hands behind his back. Didn't really, he's still in typical. Let's see. We got Yara and Arya staring at each other. Torgo Nudo. He goes, am I saying that right? Grey Worm just looks at him like, he goes, let me give you guys the reach. He goes, no more. He goes, we don't need any more trimming or war. He goes, we need growth. And Grey Worm says, we don't need your payment, man. We need justice. Which I really thought I really liked that message. And then we get it how it really goes. Because I think it's Sansa goes, it's not your choice. Or maybe Tyrion says that, and he says, we've had enough of your words, bro. Your words haven't done anything. And they say, don't you understand how the world works? Royal people decide this. They go, well, so it's for whoever's in charge, whoever the royalist of the royal is going to be deciding. And then Lord Breastplate goes, we don't have a queen. And actually he said, it wore a king, Robin, because Robin Aaron's there. He's grown up, but he should have done that. He should have said, I think in the movie he did. And Grey Worm goes, I got to deal with this crap again. He goes all the way across the sea, all these seasons to deal with this, he goes, can we just get out of here then? And they go, I don't know what happened. They go, oh, well, who's going to be in charge? And then whatever that guy's name is, the Blackfish's kid, I knew his name earlier today. Yeah, he goes, I'm going to make a speech. He goes, I know you thought twice I was finished on the show and gone to the big farm. Billy Scoots did. And I know nobody knows if I'm Kant's brother or cousin or the Blackfish's kid, who he was never pleased with. What's his name? I really like the actor. But he's also he does a great job of playing a buffoon. And Sansa goes, dude, shut it. She goes, sit down, uncle. So it's her uncle. So I guess that means it could be Kat's brother. And takes his time, son and dude, next to the sugar quan. I don't know what that is. Takes his time, Sam and done. Oh, Sam and the dude next to him. Sam so Sansa tells her uncle to sit down. He bumps his sword, trying to go sit down. There's some old dude next to Sam. I'm not sure where he's from. Maybe he's like a Umber or something. And they say, we have to choose someone. Maybe that's what my sign said. And then Sam has like the comic. He goes, next to some dude, I think that says, there's somebody next to Lord Breastplate, and then Robin Aaron's there. He goes, we have to choose a queen, someone says. Maybe that's what Breastplate says that again. He goes, a queen, they could be in charge, like she's in charge, like maybe you could be her king regent, Robin. He does look like a boy Robin, like young adult Robin. And Sam goes to get an idea. He goes, it would give states with smaller populations power. He goes, this representational democracy. And everybody laughs. Everybody laughed. He goes, he called the electoral, and they say, no, please. Rob and Aaron in the house. I guess in my notes, I just noticed it there. And then, that song, they say, we're royals, we rule. What does this say? Cheerios. You want to vote? Nope. So they say, what about Tyrion being king? And he goes, no, not me. And then they kind of go, oh, we're royals here. Can we speed this up, please? Because this is like taking forever. I don't know who said that, but I felt like somebody did. Yeah, because someone else goes, I got rich stuff to do. Like, I got to get places. And then Tyrion goes, I've been growing this beard out since the Rockets lost in the playoffs. And he goes, what unites people? Flags, gods. I think he said something else, gold, flags, gods. He goes, no, stories. I said, well, except for a story Danny was telling John. That was a good story. But he goes, nothing could stop a story. I think I put a hem there, too. And he goes, who's got a better story than Bran, the boy who learned to fly? And I said, I think that was a movie in the 80s, The Boy Who Learned to Fly. And also, he's oh-so Raven. He's the three-eyed raven, oh-so Raven. I guess that's the one weird thing. He's not a Stark anymore. So technically, I guess technicality, it doesn't matter. Keep it upstairs. They say, how about we get a double Stark takeover? Oh, he says, keeper of all our stories. Remember Max von Sydow? He's inside Bran somewhere. He's our undone king. Is something. They go, this should satisfy the working class. We'll figure this out. We'll call it 401k. They go, we gotta keep insurance. Oh, because they say, okay, Bran will be one and done king. That's what it says. And then you can elect another king when Bran's done. Yeah, that should satisfy the working class. We'll call it a 401k. So I messed up that joke. Technically, it's not a joke, though, so... Yeah. So, and then Bran goes, Bran was like, he goes, were you guys talking to me? He goes, what happened? Sorry, he said, yeah, because if you heard of these, goes VAP pots, and they go, psych, well, you won the no. He goes, Tyrion goes, you want it? You want to be king? And he goes, why do you think I got this huge smile on my face, dude? He goes, this sounds rad. Yeah, he goes, why do you think it came all this way? Then he kind of smiles almost. Let's see. Will you be the king? Yeah, why do you think I'm here? Under our eye. Somebody says I don't know if that was Onion who said it first. So then Sam, then Tish. I don't think there's anybody named Tish, though. Some dude, Rohan. There's no Rohan either. Arya, okay. Onion, I put a pod, but it's Gendry, Brienne, I. And then Sansa goes, nah, I think like you be king of the 7 kingdoms or the 6 kingdoms. I'll be queen of the north. How's that sound to everybody? Because I guess the thing about leadership is they have to have leaders. And I thought this was the smoothest move ever. A total Stark takeover. Because Sansa says, no, I'll be queen in the north. We'll be independent. You be in charge of the rest of the kingdoms. You cool with that? Bran goes, why do you think it came all this way down here, man? That's what you told me to do, right? And Sansa goes, right, Bran? And he goes, yeah, I'm king. And you're totally independent of us in the north. And they go, cool. And then everybody says, all hail Bran, the head of the sink. Even after this, on the second rewatch, he said, King of the Six Kingdoms. And they said, what? And they said, oh, yeah, wait, Sansa's one, like, it more looks like it's like 14 kingdoms or something, like a smaller king, not just like city states or something. Shark takeover, suckers. That's what they said at the end. And then they just whatever they call that. We don't call it high fiving now. They did that. I mean, everybody was, I was laughing. Bran's like, yeah. And then Bran goes, one more thing, Tyrion, you're my hand. And he goes, I'm not perfect. He goes, dude, I'm king. Are you joking? Then he says, not enough. I don't know what that means. He goes, I don't want to be king. He goes, I don't want to be, he goes, I don't deserve it. I thought I was wise, but I wasn't. Thought I knew what was right, but I didn't. And he goes, do you know what it's like to be royal? And because that's what we're looking for now. He goes, could you create a small council of just dudes? Remember that plan? Because we got to bring patriarchy back, man. So then they say, oh, what about John? We got to figure out a compromise. So then Tyrion has to deal with that. So he goes to John, who's also got a beard. And he goes, you got it. Great job saving the kingdom and stuff, but you got to go to the Night's Watch now. The Grey Worm could somehow live with that, but he goes, okay. So John's like, oh. John's like, okay, well, yeah, I guess. He goes, the Grey Worm's not happy, but Sansa already could live with it. Oh, yeah, he goes, remember what I was telling you about Project Patriarchy? It's complete now. He goes, so good work. We're a team. Maybe we'll see each other. John says, we'll never see each other again. He goes, well, probably I will. He goes, I'm not sure about the something. Give it 10 years. Maybe I'll see you then. So he goes, oh, yeah, see you, bruh. Then John walks out. The wind. Something. I think there's a wind. He walks out on this seaside exit. There's two Night's Watch dudes waiting for him. Yeah, he's on some windy stairs. I don't know if this is where Jamie practiced with Bronn. No, probably not. Maybe this is Maegor's Holdfast. I don't know. I think it looks like it might be. We see the harbor, ships in the harbor, seaside sounds, ships. Somebody says shiver me timbers, of course. We see John in the Night's Watch walking at the seaside. Grey Worm gives him the stink eye. And he goes, we're going to head to North and protect, just like Missandei wanted. We're going to become the protectors of North. I think it's not I had an R in there for some reason. North. I think that's how you say it. Let's see. Somebody's going to come talk to him. We're ready to go. All the men have boarded. Good. North. Yeah, it's just 2 A's. So sorry about getting that wrong. 2. So they pull up, then John's walking. Fan's waiting. Oh, Bran's waiting? Family's waiting. His sister's in Bran. They say, sorry about that, John. But the North's free. Ned Stark's daughter hug. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Bran's looking at his sisters and Bran walking towards them. Sansa says, sorry, I wish it was another way. Can you forgive me? And John still seems like maybe he doesn't even understand what's happening yet. He does. He's just he should be absurdist, but he's like some sort of realist. He goes, North's free at least. She goes, lost to the king. Well, they got Ned Stark. Oh, he says Ned Stark's daughter will speak for them now. She's the best they could ask for. So they hug. It's a nice hug. Not as nice as some of the reunited hugs, but pretty nice. Yeah, Ari's looking down. Jabba says, "What's up with you? You could come visit." She goes, "No." She goes, "You ever heard of Dora?" Jack goes, "No." She goes, "Ever hear of Arya the Adventurer?" He goes, "What's that?" And she goes, "I'm going west of what's west, west of Westeros." And John goes, "Don't you know the Earth's flat?" And Bran goes, "Actually, the Earth's an inverted sphere." And Arya goes, "Well, I'm going to find out, actually. So, like, I'll do some fact-based exploration." Whatever the name of that famous vessel was that I can't remember. She goes, "This is a science expedition, an adventuring one, and we're going to see what's west." They kind of shed some tears in a hug. He goes, "You got your needle?" "Got my needle." Your Grace. He goes, "Your Grace." He kneels to Bran, and Bran goes, "Dude, what are you doing?" He goes, and Bran goes, "You're exactly who you're supposed to be, man." I don't know. John says, "I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me to be." And Bran says, "You're exactly where you're supposed to be." He goes, "You realize how good?" He goes, "Oh, man." He goes, "Now, I mean, I think for Bran and Rain's move was like, how much nicer is it going to be to live in a Mediterranean style climate in the north? And poor John's got to go somewhere it's 10 times cold. Bran's like, "I can swim in the water here, bathe without getting a chill." Let's see. "This sucks." That's what John says at the end. Bye. Then the fam stands as John walks off and gets in a rowboat. Because I guess the Night's Watch boats can't even get into the pillars. Dog or loinstone? I don't know what that says. I honestly don't says. It says dog or loinstone. Then Brienne, this is, she's going through the book of the Night's Watch. No, it's not what it's called, the King's Guard. And you can see that she's the new head of the King's Guard. And she's looking through the book, and she sees Jaime Lannister. Let's see what it says. Squired for Barristan Selmy against the Kingswood outlaws, knighted and named to the King's Guard in the 16th year for valor. At the sack of King's Landing, took out Aerys II at the foot of the Iron Throne, pardoned by Robert Baratheon, known as the Kingslayer. Served Joffrey I and King Tommen I. That's right, Cersei's writing, which is not very good. And then Brienne starts writing. Let's see what she writes. This was a nice moment. This was more cinematic of Brienne's goodbye to Jaime. And she's writing now. She was captured at Whispering Wood, set free by Catelyn Stark, and returned to find his daughter's lost his hand, couldn't find it, known for doing stuff like that. Hardy har har. Something else, took River Run from the Tully rebels, lured the Unsullied into Casterly Rock, gave up his childhood home for Cersei's strategy, got Highgarden back from the Targaryen forces, fought on the Gold Road, got away. Oh, that was during the King-Queen thing, pledged himself to the North, joined them at Winterfell, did a lot of honorable stuff there, then bounced out to Cersei. And she's thinking of how she's going to finish it. I think she does finish it in a nice way. Music's playing the whole time. let's see. Escaped, helped them defend the North against the Night King, got locked up again, got out, went to save the capital, protected his queen at the end. And, she's a little bit of a flush of face when she's doing it. She closes the book without drying it. That was a little bit of a quibble. Then, let's see, what do I have? Brienne, she's the King's Guard, falls, accepts, she did mention the stuff with her and Jamie. Tyrion looks at the seat for the hand in the small council, sits, then he gets back up, arranges all the chairs. He goes, let's put some order up in this court. And I will say that the seat of the hand looks more comfortable than anything else because it looks like it's some sort of leather chair. Then he says, let's put some order up in this court. Then the door opens and its crew or a squad comes in. Bronn, the Onion Knight, and Sam. And they go, let's chop it up in here, man. They start banging the chairs around, and Tyrion gets this look on his face. And I said, wait a second, is that Bronn? And then they say, hey, we got this book we just self-published, A Song of Ice and Fire and Ice or something. And he goes, oh, totally. He goes, is it like, you're going to criticize me? They go, you ain't even in it, man. Bronn is totally rocks. He says, remember Euron? He goes, he had half gloves. I've got 1/3 gloves. Hardy har har. Then Bran comes in. They say your grace 4 times. Brienne's in the house as head of the King's Guard. Is that what it's called? Sam's head maester. He's got fresh linens on too. We're down 3 advisors. And the only thing Bran goes, okay, he goes, what about the Drogon? They go south east or something. He goes, cool, I'm going to work out. He goes, I got a fatty and I'm going to work out. I see just like a real king would. He goes, I'm out. Then we see Podrick's also one of the King's Guard, which is a little bit weird, I think, because you can't be married, I guess. I don't know if you can do what Pod does best, They go, we serve at your pleasure, your grace. Long may he reign. That was a little comic because they all say it different ways. At different times, Tyrion says, that'll improve. Other than it only being dudes, Brienne's there, but she's the King's Guard, so she's in a position of protection, not of power, or at least of political power. This scene's really grown on me the more I've seen it. You just wish it would have been, I don't know, I guess you say, I don't know, I could see where so, I don't know, but that's just, I guess that's a quibble, but the scene has grown, and they say, where's Bronn, like how Bronn, Bronn, it turns out Bronn's master of coin, and they say, we need some coin to fix the armada, because Onion Knight's master of ships, Sam's talking about getting clean water. Bronn's talking about he's the new Littlefinger. Brienne says we need clean water and ships first. So you can see Bronn interrupts people all the time. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I say, this dude's going to be a problem. Say, Brienne, relieve Bronn of his duty. Salutatory. I think that's what Sam said when he talked about fresh water. There's like this slow pull out from the room. Is that true? Let's see. Let's start. We got hungry people to feed, Tyrion says. Let's get to work. Davos. Yeah, around 1 hour and 13 minutes, they do a side shot that slowly pulls out as they're talking about it. They're plotting out everything, how we're going to run the kingdom. Yeah, then we get it, let's see. Then we see Jon Snow rolling into Castle Black, see Tormund, we see Ghost, Then something, I don't know what my handwriting says. We see Arya gearing up. I guess we get shots of the north or something. Then we see Sansa. She's got this like beautiful autumn gown that she's getting ready for. So she's getting geared up. Then we see Arya packing a spyglass, walking down. Oh, then everybody's walking down a hall, like Arya and Sansa. Let's see what Jon Snow's walking through the castle. So I really liked that shot. We're all behind them. Arya's hair's up in a bun. She emerges on the deck of a ship. She just looks so fresh, like she's like ready for a whole new series. Jon sees all the northern people walking down halls times 3. Yeah, we see Arya's at sea. Jon and the free folk. We also see the ropes behind them, I think. Sansa's in the north. Everybody bends the knee. Arya's with her crew walking past them. She looks like a first day at work, kind of. But I'm sure she'll be able to keep her crew in line. Stark, Lord on a ship. Ghost close up. These, I think, happen out of order. We see the Stark, like a symbol, the wolf symbol on the front of the ship. And then Stark sails. We see Arya looking off. We see the crown go on Sansa's head. We see her sit in the throne, which was a wooden throne. And again, I think we saw that with Bran or Tyrion's, these wooden seats versus the Iron Throne. They see Queen in the north. Arya sails off. At some point, Jon pets Casper's dog back. And then Jon says, I guess this was like left open. It's like, is he just helping? I guess let's just assume Jon's staying in character and staying loyal to Kingsguard because he's dressed in all their clothes. So I think he's just helping the free folk relocate back to where they were, or he could be shirking his duties and heading off. Like Sansa looking out at her people, she's kind of, she looks a little bit like, this is my, and I didn't see the Stark throne. It's really nice too. Her throne is really beautiful. And Robin Aaron's not there, but one of the Jonas brothers is like, it could be possible. I guess it's like, it's just that's some real, okay. Well, I guess I can be wrong. There's the Stark sail and Jon heading through the wall out into the north, which is like the last we see. Casper's up front, Tormund at his side, wind, snow, ice. You'd think they'd rebuild. I don't know why they would need to rebuild the wall. I guess because you never know or something. But and Jon's returning the free folk, who I guess just prefer like Tormund said, we like it up there. And they spill out. We see like a far shot of the wall. Then an icy plain shot. Jon and Tormund on horseback. Everybody else walking, and then they kind of go into the woods. They pass there's like a nice, let's go back to that. Let's see, we're at 1 hour and about 1857, 58, 59. There's a growth north of the wall. I think that was a nice on purpose shot. The plant growing, and they walk off, not into the sunset, but into the forest. And it is, I guess, a full circle because it is where it started, in the same forest north of the wall. Jon looks back, so a door on the wall closes. And it kind of reminds me of how David Chase talked about the closing of Sopranos. Of like, we had this window on this family, and the window was open for us to look through it, and now the window's closed. The family's still going, So this story's still going on. We just don't get to see it anymore. But I guess a lot of the big stuff happened. And, that's it. As they head off into the trees, We head off. We still have a visit from Tom and Pounce and the old gods and the new. And we'll probably revisit this series and maybe do a recap after I have a little bit of a break or something. But yeah, here's Tom and Pounce. And for now, we say goodbye to Game of Thrones. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled program with a regularly scheduled program here on K-Pounce Radio, the radios of children, kids, best friendship, and cats everywhere. And dogs, get your own show. We love you, but this is K-Pounce Radio. K-Wolf is a premium. Anyway, folks, I'm sorry, Tom. I gotta, oh boy. Your Grace, actually, when in this situation, please stay focused. This is the last episode. Well, maybe not. Okay, please just stay, okay, just go ahead. K-Pounce Radio, the radio with kids, cats, and friendship. K-Pounce Radio is proud to present the tales of Tom and Pounce in the world of Noir Chardonnay. Two hard-boiled detectives finding a way in the world of Noir Chardonnay. Oh, that accidentally rhymed. Welcome to K-Pounce Radio. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. This is your friend Tom and Detective Tom, and I've always wanted to say, I've never had a chance to say that. Welcome, all my friends beyond the binary and everywhere, and also cats, kittens, cats, domestic and feral, and everything in between. Welcome as well. Cool cats too, which is probably everybody's include. Anyway, hello everybody. This is Tom, and I thought this was going to be the day I retired. I was sitting there with Sir Pounce, thinking about that this was Noir Chardonnay walked in and said, Tom, you say this is your last day cracking cases, eh? And I said, yes, I'm quite tired, Noir Chardonnay. Not tired of you, not tired of your nightclub, not tired of cabaret, not tired of the endless city, the city that's both curved and edged at the same time, the city that goes 1,000 miles into the sky and 1,000 miles below ground, the city with as many tales as that times 1,000. With case, that's why Noir Chardonnay. I just said, well, maybe I'll just crack one more case, and that'll be the end. It's been interesting, but it's a little, my eyes have always had trouble adjusting. And I don't know, I feel like even though I usually try to dress in tones that are not ostentatious, the sepia tones are beginning to wear on me. Because particularly Sir Pounce's looks better full spectrum, I believe. Color TV. Remember when we went to that museum? And that's how you explained to me what it was when it was not in color. And remember we made that show where I pretended I was Lucy and I was packing chocolates. Oh, what a day. With Ray and Mikey and Gregor and the pod boy. Okay, so there I was. This case was weighing on me because I knew it was coming. I knew it was inevitable. And what it was I was there in Noir Chardonnay's club. And I was downstairs, and I sensed just Sir Pounce looking up and looking around. And a look on Sir Pounce's face, because usually Sir Pounce is relaxed in my lap, but Sir Pounce was sitting up, and I said, something's going on. And even though I couldn't hear it, I could hear it, a sound, that was and then Noir Chardonnay came from the club, back in, left and back. We were exchanging pleasantries, and now it was a business. Noir Chardonnay said, there's a woman outside the club, ceaselessly honking her horn and yelling for Tommen to hurry up. And it's a limousine. She's honking it through the window. So you probably should go up there. And I went up there. I said, well, let her wait. First, I was going to run up the stairs, but I took my cue from all the lessons I learned from Sir Pounce. And even though I was not able to relax, I sat in my seat for a while and I counted to 10. I felt my feet on the floor. I felt my hands stroking one another. I watched the movement of Sir Pounce's tail, and I thought soon I would see the full spectrum of the colors of Sir Pounce's fur, not just in sepia tones. I watched, as so many detectives do, the spinning of the fan in my ceiling. And then I looked across the room at a lone light bulb on a string, moving back and forth because of the motion of the fan affecting the wind. And I knew it was time for me to trudge upstairs. They say the happy road of destiny doesn't exist in the city streets. It's a place you trudge, you don't walk down it. When I walked those stairs like Sir Pounce, my body felt cool because of the fan and the waving of the light bulb on a string or cord. And I got up there, and at this time, the battery of the car had actually run out, so the horn was making more of a sound like someone who was like faking a tummy ache, as I'd been known to do in the past, like, or a cat, And Sir Pounce and I sat there, and we said, I played it cool. I said to someone, what's happening up here? And the person was back in the car now. And they said, Tommen, get in this car. And I said, Suppose you hear anything? And then, these are things I also learned from Noir, Chardonnay, and the Pot Boy. And so then eventually I said, oh, yes, you're looking for Tommen. My office is downstairs. Why don't we go downstairs and discuss things? And she said, get in the car, we're going somewhere. And then the driver said, actually, you ran down the battery, honking the horn ceaselessly. And, she said she had many commentaries on the ability of the limo driver to do the duty. And she was dressed like a rock star. Or at this time, I guess you'd say, I don't know, but she, before there was rock stars, there was people who, dressed like rock stars before it existed, and this was this woman. I knew who she was, you knew who she was, and she knew who she was, or did what I mean. And I sighed, and I said, looks like we're going to have to walk. And she snorted, and I said, this is called the Regal Way, right around the corner. The Avenue of the Stars, the Golden Way, they call it. Have you been down the Golden Way? The shop keeps all bow to you when you walk by. It's been no. They told me to stay off that street because anyway. And she said, what happened? And I said, well, walk with me. I'll tell you. Maybe they'll let me walk down the Golden Way because you're with me. And she said, well, what happened for you to get banned from the Golden Way? And I said, well, drinking. I said, I saw this man a few weeks ago who said he drank Giant's milk. He had a beard, and I've always wanted a beard, so I bought one at the shop that sells the fake beards. And then I bought some milk in a glass jug. Also, I brought a saucer for Sir Pounce. And then I proceeded to drink the milk so it would run down my beard. Also, I did not, just like the old days, I did have a swimsuit on, but it was a small one. And I did have it on, but it was also because it was sepia tones. They said they didn't know that I was wearing a swimsuit because it was also a sepia tone swimsuit. because I didn't want to I said, well, I got to detect, I'm hard boiled. I can't have milk on me, my clothes. I can have it on my fake bed. And so that's why, I drank the milk there on a bench, covered in milk. They called Noir Chardonnay, all was forgiven. They just said, don't come back to the street. But with you, I said, here in this world, they're making these animated films and always looking for someone. But those are 2D. I may have talked about this before. Have you heard of 2D? And she said, what are you speaking of? And I said, let me ask you a question. Why are you here? You're here to see me, correct? And she went out, for a while, she told me how she was here to look out for me. And she said, look at, you have a fake beard and you're covered in milk. I said, well, no, that was earlier this week. It's a hobby, not my current condition. And I let her, say her piece about how, and I said, back to this 2D. We're walking to a movie palace right now, the end of the Golden Way. Also, there's a place called the Golden Arches that I like to go to, too. They have meals that are supposed to make you happy. And they do, is temporarily, for momentary. I said, it's honest, temporarily happy when I have this meal. Do you understand what I'm saying? And she said, I don't. And I said, okay, let's keep walking then down. And the shopkeepers that sold the jewels and the clothes, they all bowed to this, my client, as we headed down the street. They stepped out of her way when she, wanted to talk about the condition. She had comments for everybody. And I said, we're talking about two things, Happy Meals and 2D animated features. There's someone making them now. And I said, the drawings are I said, it's not about just the animation. Sometimes the characters, they try to make them in 3D. But a lot of times there's one character and she's in 2D. Her name may end in stepmother or DeVille or, stepmother or, other, queen, stepmother, queen mother. But they only show one side of it. You know what I mean? Not the complicated sides of it, 3D, 4D. Even, sometimes they show things. Do you know what the sepia tones are? Do you notice you are you're covered in sepia tones, but there's so many shades of black and white, grays, you'd say, that you still have all of your essence. Now, Sabounce does, but Sabounce's fur does not. Anyway, not important. What's important is that those movies, they're just for entertainment. And those are meals of happiness. If some people say they don't really make you happy, I'd say, well, they do for a bit. So why quibble? And she said, you're just talking nonsense to fill the air. And I said, Mother, and she looked at me, and she had that look in her face. It was like iron and honey were mixed together. And, a tear formed in my eye. I could not help myself, but I knew this was the case, and I wasn't even sure how to crack it. And I said, this is a world with those things, 2D films and animation, happy meals that make you happy, a golden avenue of shops. But there's also a city beyond all this, within it and around it. City with a million tales. You may have heard of it. And she huffed and said something about King's Landing and said this is more like a giant flea bottom. And I said, you're one tough customer. And I said, okay, I've got another idea here. And we went up to the tallest building in town. You know, remember that Jaffa had a building, not the tallest. He used to say it was the most strident building in town. And we went up there, and I said, look out at this city. And she said, and she, she wasn't sure what I was getting at. I said, this is the city where I learned to be a boy again. And I learned to be a detective at the same time. And I learned that I was both and neither. And she said, I don't know what you're talking about still. And I said, well, I'm here next to you. I said, would you like to hold my hand and look at the city together without words, except for the words I speak to fill the air, which you say, And at first, she was unsure, but she reached out her hand. You know how it is. Like almost like when I do go to the Golden Arches, I say, well, I wonder if I could ask for a second toy for my meal of happiness. And Ray would say, well, it can't hurt to ask, but I don't, you do only get one toy per meal. And no, we're not getting you another meal. We talked about this before we came in the restaurant. But it doesn't hurt to ask. The look on my face when I ask for a second toy and I know I'm not getting it, but I wish they would give it to me. She had that look on her face a bit. Something, I said, and we felt the city air. We heard the city sounds. And we stood close to one another. And I said, it's a complicated city down there, full of people, full of things, full of cases, others, cars, food, life. It's a great gulf all around us. We're at the tallest building in the city. And she said, we're high up. Yeah, it's a gulf, but, and they said, no, the city's full of the unknown, right? And the knowable and the noble. And the great gulf, can separate us, but it can also make us closer. And she said, how so? And I said, well, there's this idea of loops and spectrums and things. Sometimes the gulf between two people, between a person and the world becomes so great that it makes it easy to be close to them. And she said, I don't understand. When a person's all the way up here, how could they be possibly close to the whole world down there? And I said, I don't know. But think about it. Here, it's like we could breathe in the entire city. We could feel it on our skin. We could taste it on our tongue. Go ahead and smell it. You could smell the city. You could sense it even with your eyes and your ears closed. You could feel it beating with your heart. What is the city we'll never understand? It's a city we could never grasp. And she said, I think you're talking around things in a way that's so obscure. I feel okay, but I'm still confused. And I said, look at it this way. We're up here, right? We're looking around. It's pretty nice. We're holding hands. It makes it a little bit nicer. But we're not asking for the city to be something it's not. We're not asking for the Gulf to not be there. We're not saying why, you're just saying, well, this building's tall and the city's down there. It's a simple matter of physics or something, Tommen. And she said, I still don't get it. And I said, well, sometimes the size of the Gulf doesn't matter. The history of the Gulf doesn't matter. It does, it's complicated. But it's not. Maybe all those layers of complication built up, like if you were walking up the stairs instead of taking the automator or whatever it's called, the moving room. And she said, you saying you're you're okay. And I said, I don't think I've ever been, those words, and she said 2 letters. I said, well, it could be spelled with A-Y, but it doesn't matter. That's just a gulf between our spelling and my, then now that I'm getting tutored. Anyway, I'm sorry. I went off topic there. Sometimes a boy just wants to hold his mother's hand. No matter where she's been, how long her journey, how, you say, I don't even, all those things. Maybe he can't forget Lavender and Lancel being, or any of those things, but, or the other, we don't need to, right now we're just here together. I don't understand why I love this city so, and why I say, well, I'd prefer to be, I got to get out of the sepia tones, but I love this city. The gulf between me understanding it and me being a part of all of it, a vast, impossible. I couldn't know everyone in the city. Most of the people wouldn't even give me the time of day. They call me Bub. They say, what is you do? Why is your beard covered in fake milk? Your fake beard covered in real milk? And, what are you frolicking about? This isn't, those things. It might sound familiar to you. I think you may be in the deepest of your heart in New York, mother. This may be your place. And, I just want you to know that no matter the gulf, no matter the width, the depth, the expanse, some things go beyond, you're just holding hands and visiting, and you say, well, you might have questions about atonement or forgiveness or, all those things. I'm just a boy who wants to hold his mother's hand from time to time. And to sit here in the vastness, lost in the vastness, you'd say, without a fix, without a magic wand. And by the way, good, because I think also it's the sense of like, here's the thing. Maybe for the time being, I come visit. Maybe you could come to Noir Chardonnay's club. You might be banned from there from the horn honking. But we just come and we visit up here in the tower where you could look down. Maybe you get into the 2D animation. I don't know how they do the casting of that. Or you say, well, you are an archetype of these things, much more complex. Maybe we share a meal of happiness, even if it's only momentary. Maybe that's it. Our hands reach across this gulf like the sounds, the soot of the city, and we connect. I don't know, my mother, but I know it's almost like I've missed this, and I'm not sure we have, necessarily. I'm not even sure I could say I understand any of that. But beyond that, like I said, I love the city. I love you. And the other people I've crossed, well, Joff, yes, I've, it's, there's people, like the people that saw me covered in the milk, they said, that's New York for you. Yeah, there you go. And some of them kind of appreciated it, even though it boggled their mind. And so I don't think this case could be solved, I'll be honest with you. I think this case could be revisited, or maybe we could just be, connect every once in a while. I think it has to be regular, though, or, maybe I'll just go on another adventure and I could check back in with you. But I guess for the time being, I'd like to visit you and hold your hand and just, talk to fill the time. And maybe other words will come one day. Or maybe they won't, but I think this is the city. They say, this city needs tough people, and you're tough. I know that much. I don't know if there's this thing called, there's people that have a business around just hedges. They fund hedges. For some reason, I think if you can't get into the 2D animation, uh, mother business, say, well, that's because I think those movies are popular. Maybe you could get into that hedge funding business, because they say that those are I don't know, those are the people with the most furrowed brows. If I'm aware of that. And they do that same thing where it's like you're forcing your mind outside of your ears or something with your face. I don't know how else to describe what you inability to smile. There's nothing wrong with that. The pod man can't do it either. But what do you say we go down and we share a meal of temporary happiness together and check in? Okay, I could hold you. I could hug you for a minute. Yeah. Despite the gulf, I'm here. I see you and I accept you. And I don't understand it. But yes, I'm here, mother. I'm glad you're here with me. Oof, that was a good thing that was fiction, huh? Wow. Yeah, so that's a tale of, it was fictional, but I don't think it was. Well, maybe it wasn't fiction at all. But I'm going to work with the pod man to see how we could keep our adventures going from time to time, as I'm sure you would all like and appreciate. But thank you for joining me on Cape Outs Radio all of these years. Thank you for joining. So, Bounce, do you have anything to say? Right? Thank you. Thanks to Noir Chardonnay, to Ray and the Gregor, to the pod man and all the listeners to Cape Outs Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and friends beyond the binary. Yeah, for the time being, we're going off the air, but we'll be back. Thanks for being a friend of friendship and cats everywhere. Thank you for listening to Cape Outs Radio. We're good to Tom and it's about to say goodbye. Bye. Cape Outs Radio, off air. Crone, sweet Crone, Miller Smith, Barky, Jester, Hound Dog God. It's me praying in. Your camper, your CIT camper in training. What do you call it? What am I doing? Praying in. That's what I'm doing. And yeah, I wanted to reach out on behalf of, well, I don't know. I don't know, Gads. Well, this is the last time we'll be talking. Well, here's the thing, Gads. It won't be the last time we're talking. Yes, Cron, my fingers are crossed. So I'll uncross them now. You caught me. I was only crossing them like not like 100. My fingers were 100% crossed. But just in case of the 1% chance, that I don't keep like this. This is the last time we talk, guys. But seriously, Crone, switch to Crone, Miller Smith, Barky, Jester, Hound Dog, God. I'd want to say we've been through a lot. That would be like a very presumptive use of the collective. I've been through a lot of ups and downs, and I know that sometimes it feels like you've been the foot on my shoulder if I'm in some MUD and I'm trying to get out, and then the foot, but I really know that's not true. That it's feet, because there's more than one of you. The foot that I TRIP over. Oh, Crone Miller. I'm joking, guys. That's the only way I can handle this. So I know it can't be a goodbye. And I know we have this summer camp planned out generally in a vague way with ideas and Maiden. There's an opening there, Maiden. Plus we could live in the back. They call that what do they call that? Oh, it's you go in an infirmary, Maiden. I got to use eluding words for it. But that's where we could live in the back there. I could be the, well, I could be like your number one customer. Anyway, probably better move. But at this point, you're right. If you haven't returned my calls, my prayers, I don't I'm too busy, doing stuff anyway, to think about it. And especially praising the other gods. So gods, we got the summer camp. That's the good news. The name has not come together. But I think it will eventually by this summer. But I was thinking, guys, maybe what I could do Because here's the thing, if you've been observing me in my IRL, and I know you do because it's like 24/7 comedy channel for all of you, because of all the human, when that, when whoever the former was, the creator, I guess that would be the mother and the father, technically, in this case. They said, let's give him a triple shot. How much humanity do you normally put in them? Well, give him triple. And they said, oops, it's spilled. Well, how much? 3,000% humanity in that one. So I'm oozing it. I'm oozing humanity. That's what they say. They said, what does that smell? It smells like banana peels in the sun or wet noose. No, that's me. It's a humanity I'm oozing out. I think Maiden, one of your, like someone like you was the last person that said, is that, can cardboard go stale? Cause and I said, no, that's me. It's my natural, musk. Humanity with the twist of anxious sweat. So anyway, guys, I got to get to the point. I'm taking all this time for me instead of praying in. So, no, sorry, guys. I was thinking, this is about us. And, eventually, because I did fail over the seasons, I remember first or second time we spent time together that I was going to, create a whole thing, like a whole religious ecosystem. I don't know. Do they call them religious ecosystems? Faith-based ecosystem. Thank you. But that didn't work out. Remember, I had a bunch of SCAMSs working and flowing. I think at one point I did wear flowing robes, and remember, I ended up just being a caretaker. So that didn't go good. But I think this summer camp idea, I mean, I'm all in on it right this moment. But here's the thing, guys. So I have my morning routine, right? And I kind of, it's not perfect, but I do have, and then my evening routine needs some tweaking. Crone, am I right? I've seen you frowning at me. So what I could do is maybe I'll send you a letter every night, so then I can say, this would be definitely mother and father, the gods. I'm not sending you any letters, warrior, whatever, whoever, no offense, especially that other one in the sea. No way. But I will open my letters. Hello, Mutta. Hello, Father. Hello, Crone, Miller Smith, Barkey, Jesta, Hound Dog God. It's your camp. Maybe I could send you a letter every night, just a short one page probably. Is all the discipline, which would probably take me. I'll never get to the point, but that'll be my evening praying in. How did I miss all this? And I can send it to you almost like your summer camp when you combine all of you into one. Maybe instead of praising all of you, I could just praise the summer camp. Summer camp, old gods in the new. If we just make it one word, summer camp, old gods in the new. Old gods in the new summer camp. You're right. It needs work. It does. But I could send you a letter just like I'm a kid who lives in a universe where there's a sentient summer camp also inhabited by gods old and new, and who are also awesome camp counselors, playing against type. Because I thought about, we do talk about, dances and lessons and all that stuff, but maybe that's what I could talk about to you every night is I'll just send you a little note. A bit like a prayer, you're right, Cron, but this would actually be on a regular basis and not when I need stuff. So it'd be a little bit more disciplined than like prayer, which kind of usually, my prayers consist of requests or apologies. So this would be like if you said, how come you never check in with me? And they say, you mean praise you? Consider job done now. So I could pen a letter to you every evening. Let's be real. 5 of 7 evenings. How's that? 20 evenings a month. You're right. Maybe we should, I can always dial it down. You're right. Why not overpromise? So 30 to 31 evenings, except in February. I could say, dear crone, hello, mudda, hello, fada, hello, crone. I mean, I don't know if that gimmick would ever get old. That was from an old commercial, I think, for like Ovaltine or something. That kid was going to camp at Kiwana or something. So, and that was where commercials take songs and then they rewrite them to fit in the commercial. So originally it was a song that someone wrote just, anyway, I'm off topic again. So how about that? Because otherwise it's a long time to the summer, especially since the camp's really, I mean, as much as I'd love to do all the work, you know me in logistics, you're the gods. So, I mean, hopefully you take it from there, but maybe not. Maybe I could plan it. I don't know. Maybe I could offer just some sort of reward or something. But yeah, guys, what I'll do is I'll send you a letter. I'll try to write something to you every night and keep in touch on a regular basis. That's how we build it. That's how we build. That's how you build me. Like, at least at least mix the clay at this point to get me malleable. Because right now I'm more of a dispersal of water, of mud, water, and, muck. So let's get me clayified and start shaping you. I'd love it if you're going to be shaping me, how about you hit up those abs and those pecs for me? I think that's what they did on whatever that movie was, Chariots of Thrones or something. I can't remember, with Henry Hamill. Harry Hamlin. Thank you. I don't know what it wasn't called. Chariots of Thrones. Okay, well, I don't know. Gods of the Chariots of the Gods. That's something else too. Thank you. So that's it, gods. I mean, I guess it could never be goodbye. Also, what I'll do is I'll leave a pen in a notebook. So if any goddesses that don't normally keep in touch with me, want to write a note or just draw a heart, my initials are, Scoots, DS or DA or AA. You could put that in, you just send me a message and the pen will be in there. Also, Barky, if you want to write something funny, the pen will be in there, gods. But forgive me, gods. All of you know how much I need that. And give me, open my mind and my heart. And help me be consistent. Yeah, we'll build towards this summer camp. We'll have a lot to look forward to. Thank you for the season. Thank you for all the service. But obviously, I could never say goodbye to all of you. So be in touch. Thanks, guys. All right. I want to thank everybody who reviewed the show over on Apple Podcasts. JP from Australia. No idea how this works, but amazingly it does. Was recommended by my GP to get to sleep. When anxiety was keeping me awake, I was skeptical, but considering I barely made it past the intro, can't even tell you what the episode was about. Then Smiggles13 says, "Ode to Scooter. Can't believe I early listened to 200 episodes of this podcast. Granted, I slept through most of them. Always struggled with falling asleep due to a constantly changing work schedule and dreaded the nightly chore that going to bed has become. Thanks, Scooter, for making it easier, making me laugh, and feeling less alone. You have a gift. Thanks for sharing it with all of us. Thanks, Michaels. That's nice of you. Risa, anybody think this guy is Morty is an older man? Perfect to fall asleep, always good for a laugh, highly recommendable. Thank you. Kari Rar, Best Sleep Podcast. I don't know if it's a placebo effect, but I don't even know what this podcast is about. I fall asleep within 5 minutes. It's my favorite sleep podcast. Thank you. This one comes in from Absolutely Not a Robot. Scooter's a gem. Much love. My husband travels a lot for work, and I have a hard time sleeping when he's gone. Thanks for keeping me company and zonking me out. BB169 Starlight. I don't know if that's a relationship to BB-8. Not sure why. Craziest thing. Almost every time I listen, which is most nights, I wonder myself, why does this work? Next thing I know, I'm lulling into slumber. Patreon is worth it. Thank you, BB169. Little Pink Burl says, takes your mind off of things. Soothing. Topics are random, so you don't get drawn in. Same time, interesting enough, you don't think about anything else. Love the fact he has a spot on his website for people who don't like the podcast. That's sweet. Thank you. Crane 303 said, love this podcast. Allows me to fall asleep without overthinking. Most of the things he talks about make zero sense. That's why it works. Ralphie Frey says, why does this work? I can't explain it, but it works. I'm going to sleep within 20 minutes. Thanks, Scoots. Gracie Pie, my life changed. Gracie Pie went through a lot and could not sleep, changing from one parent's house to another. Tried noise, music, sound, machines. Could not find what worked. It was stressful. Tried to sleep in silence until one night I searched great sleepless sounds or things that help you fall asleep, and it was recommended sleep with me. I finally have one more thing that causes my anxiety to go away. Thanks, Gracie. That's very nice. I'm happy to help you. Shy says, magic. Surprise, it works so good. I tried hypnosis, pills, audio, counting sheet. Nothing works as well as this podcast. Zizzy says, I have no idea what the podcast is even about. And couldn't be more thankful. So thanks everybody who reviewed the show over on Apple Podcasts. I really appreciate it. Sleep With Me exists because of direct listener support of the sponsors at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors and people who support the show on Patreon. So thank you everybody that does that. We're a proud member of Night Vale Presents, so you can check out all Night Vale Presents amazing shows at nightvalepresents.com, including Good Morning Night Vale. You got Meg, you got Symphony, and you got Hal talking, doing deep dives on episodes of Welcome to Night Vale one by one. They're also doing a live show at PodX, which, they have guests on, interviews, origin stories, behind the scenes trivia. So if you're a Night Vale fan, start listening and become a Night Vale fan. You can check out Good Morning Night Vale. nightvalepresents.com. We're also a proud member of PRX. You can see everything they're doing at prx.org. And I believe that's it. There's plenty of other episodes ready to go if you need them. Thanks and good night.